right.
graduated from
Moving
that.
right along. Some baseball players, you guys, 5 of the Tampa Bay Rays declined to wear pride patches on their jerseys. They basically came out and said that they opted not to wear the patch on their uniform, and it was a faith-based decision. They took one of the team members to go out and be the spokesperson. I think it was the pitcher, and he said, so it's a hard decision because ultimately we all said what we want is them to know that all are welcome and loved here. But when we put it on our bodies, I think a lot of guys decided that it's just a lifestyle that maybe not that they look down on anybody or think differently. It's just that maybe we don't want to encourage it if we believe in Jesus. So they stood on that and they're just kind of like, comparing it to their faith and just saying like that's just not something they're into. For me, I am going to stand by the individuals who did not want to wear that on their patch. I think at this point, when we talk about your job, you should not be forced. If it was a Black Lives Matter patch and someone didn't want to wear it, are we going to criticize them? They don't want to be political, right? Is the LGBTQ pride flag political? Absolutely. I mean, we could say it isn't, but it is. I mean, everyone doesn't have to take a knee. Everybody, just because we feel like people should do something doesn't mean they have to do something. And so it's not a part of their contract and they don't have to make any stance. They don't have to even say how they feel about anything in society. All they need to do is show up and do their part as their role and responsibility of their job. So I think this is one of those things where it's like, you be damned if you do and damned if you don't. But I think they did the right thing by just saying, it's not for me. And that's cool because guess what? If I'm at work and I don't want to wear something, I'm not going to do it.
This story did make me a little upset. I'm not gonna lie, but it wasn't for those reasons. Like I think everything that you said is true. I think the only place where I will push back is I think that statement that they put out was BS. Like
Yeah.
if you don't want to wear the patch, then own it. But don't come out here and talk about love and acceptance when you just chose to not wear the patch. Man, say it with your chest. Say you didn't want to wear the patch because you didn't want to wear the patch. And I think that we could keep it moving. When the NBA had the Black Lives Matter slogans on the back of the jersey, they did allow players to opt out, and many players did opt out, and it actually wasn't that big of a deal. It should be a choice. The thing about this that I don't like is that the Tampa Bay Rays play in Florida, and then they do this pride patch. This is nothing but optics. This is straight symbolic. Players wearing patches doesn't do anything for anyone anyway. But now because they declined, now the story is, oh, they didn't want to wear the patch. And, you look on ESPN and they're coming down on these guys as if they're like doing harm to the community. If the Tampa Bay Rays actually cared about the community, they would be out there leaning on those politicians in Florida because the state of Florida has some of the most regressive LGBTQ laws out of anywhere in the country. Like, what do you mean right now? Tampa Bay Rays, if you really care about the rights of LGBTQ people, you don't need to tell your players to wear a patch. You need to go lean on your legislators and your lawmakers, man. What did y'all say about the Don't Say Gay bill? Like, Florida has so much going on. And as a sports organization, you have so much power to sway change. We see what basketball teams did in North Carolina when the state of North Carolina refused the bathroom bills. They moved sporting events and they the leagues took a stand. So if you really want to take a stand, there are ways that you can do so without being performative. But now, because you made this act that's purely performative and you have players decline, now everybody's coming down on these individual players when really the real power is with the money. And it's your owners, your billionaire owners of this baseball team who have the power to take a stand against lawmakers and politicians in the state of Florida who are making these laws. And they don't do that. Instead, they just do this for optics. And I'm sick of us in this country always having to get all riled up over optics and gestures that are meaningless because wearing the patch doesn't really do anything.
I agree with you 100% on that, and that this is very performative in a sense that it does pay respect and it does demonstrate pride. And especially in a league where homosexuality has not been supported ever, right? And we're talking about America's favorite sport. And so I think this is when we talk about sports leagues, I think that this is something, this is a great place to demonstrate that and show pride for the LGBTQ community. But I also feel that when it comes down to it, it's also an individualized choice in what you decide for yourself and what you want to promote, right? And so if we think about branding just in general, a lot of these celebrities have their own platforms. I agree with you in that, it's kind of some BS that they're standing behind the veil of this faith-based thing and like, oh, we believe in Jesus and blah, blah, blah. Guess what? If you just don't believe in homosexuality and you don't want to wear it, just say that. I mean, I think we have to get to a point where we can agree and say, listen, I respect you, but I just don't believe in that, right? Or I do respect you. I do believe in homosexuality, but I don't want to wear a pride patch, or I don't want to wear a Black Lives Matter patch, or I don't want to be branded as a Republican or a Democrat. I don't want to politicize anything that I'm doing. I don't want to wear anything except for my Tampa Bay uniform. And so I think we have to allow people to have this full freedom of choice. And I think Arlo brings up a good point on whether or not this is in the contract for the team or the league. I would argue that it isn't. But if it is, it seems as if none of these guys faced any repercussions. They were allowed to make the statement. There in the article, it was written that there was no kind of discord in the clubhouse, and everything kind of just went on.
They just wore their regular jerseys. Like it wasn't even the end of the world like that. It's the media. It's the, you know what I mean? Like it's that. But I agree, man. I don't agree with forcing people to make political statements. And that even goes with like Black Lives Matter, because that has been politicized. So when the NBA put all those patches on the back of their jerseys, like, yo, it's the same thing. Like, don't make people take a political stand. And we had NBA players that literally came out and said that, and we just kept it pushing. I just think in this situation, why this really stood out to me is because Tampa Bay is in Florida, and we're seeing everything that's happening in Florida. And like, the team had to issue a statement and do all of this stuff. Well, I just feel like, if the team really cared about the LGBTQ community, there's a lot that the team can do to sway legislation in the state of Florida that will go a much longer way than having players wear patches on their jerseys.
Leon in here stirring it up in the comments. He said, what if a player didn't want to wear a Negro League uniform in one of the games? You know what, Leon?
Listen, Leon, hey, he said because of Jesus. It's not like the Negro League's uniform said Negro League. I'm pretty sure it said the name of your team, man. It said Birmingham Black Barons, man. But
if that did come out, I'm standing with him. Y'all should wear that. Nah, I'm playing. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's freedom of choice. I think
it really
those
is.
are some of the
and I thought the NBA was so corny for doing that, like putting Black Lives Matter on center court and all that was just so corny, empty. Like you have money, man. Go make something happen. Make real change. Like, don't give me a slogan. It's so empty. I don't like empty gestures from anybody on any side, no matter who they support.
I agree.